things went downhill pretty fast. Abel's blood cried out from the ground, and when God asked Cain about it, he replied, "Am I my brother's keeper?" Every man for himself, every woman for herself. Self, 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 and soon the storm clouds gathered, swollen with rain. Had the human experiment been a mistake? Maybe a reset would do. Noah's hands stripped bark from gopher wood to build an ark quickly filled with twosomes of fur, wool, scales, feathers, hooves, talons, claws, teeth, and horns. How's that sound for company on a 40-day sail on rough seas? The earth was baptized by water, cleansed and rinsed. Noah's trembling ancient hands carried a squirming dove, cooing and agitated to the ship's edge, sent her fluttering into the wind to look for signs of hope. She returned with an olive leaf, evermore to be a symbol of peace, renewal, and new beginnings, if only it had lasted. We got it in our heads to burn bricks and build a tower to make a name for ourselves, to declare our empowered independence, a ziggurat of stone, bitumen, and mortar, all chalky and sticky and hard like our hearts. Of course, that didn't work, and as a result, suddenly we couldn't understand each other, couldn't communicate. It sharpened our divisions and left us scattered, hunkered down, and resentful. But God didn't give up on his children. There was one man, Abram, who lived in a place called Ur, a word that sounds like hesitation, which is too bad because the first thing God told him to do was leave, abandon his father's house, and go someplace not specified, just a land that I will show you. To leave Ur of the Chaldeans was a step of great faith, one that God rewarded by giving Abram a series of promises and covenants, and changed his name to Abraham. Seems like God changes people's names a lot, but it's never really about the name itself. It's about transformation. He loves flipping people, the way you might flip a house. He loves giving people a spiritual makeover, a fresh start. That didn't mean it was easy. Coarse rope rug-burned little Isaac's bound hands as Abraham laid the cold blade to his neck before an angel cried out at the last second, and a ram was provided instead. We should have seen it coming all along. Salvation at the 11th hour. An alternate sacrifice offered on our behalf. An undeserved emergency exit. Redemption against all odds. Not that we noticed. We still tried to do things our own way. Jacob wrapped his arms in the shaggy fuzz of goatskins to deceive Isaac and lay hold of his birthright, tooth and nail. He ended up laying hold of himself, in the sweat-slick strain of wrist locks and half-Nelsons, and the blinding pain of a hip joint popped out of socket when he wrestled with God, demanded a blessing, and received a new name, Israel. From then on, the name used to describe the people who follow God. He limped for the rest of his life and had 12 sons who would become 12 tribes through whom it was said the earth would be blessed. But not before those 12 tribes were enslaved by Egypt in a cruel nightmare that involved infant boys being drowned in the Nile because Pharaoh felt threatened and insecure. Wouldn't be the last time a tyrant ordered the genocide of infant boys. But there was one woman who hid her son from the terror. And when she could hide him no longer, placed him in a basket made of bulrushes, daubed with pitch, set him afloat among the reeds of the Nile. The act itself a watery, whispered prayer for someone to deliver God's people from bondage. Enslaved, burdened, and full of despair, we waited.